The United Kingdom is made up of many different races, cultures and religions where people of different faiths and beliefs live alongside each other, sometimes happily, sometimes not so happily. A multi-faith society is where you have many different religions in society, and remember that that's different to a multi-ethnic society, which is about race. The Human Rights Act confirmed religious pluralism in 2000, that is, that lots of different religions have an equal right to exist. The word pluralism comes from the word plural, meaning lots of. Where there is religious pluralism, it means that different religions live together and have equal right to exist, but it can also refer to an attitude where people believe that different religious ideas can work alongside each other. For some believers, it doesn't matter so much what you believe, as long as you believe in something. All paths lead to God. To show this idea, you can think of the famous story of an elephant. Lots of different blind men touch different parts of the elephant and describe it differently. However, it's still the same elephant. In this way, you have God, but you have many different paths to God. All of them believe in the same thing, as in all of the different religions, even if they have different cultural ways of expressing it. John Hick is one Christian who argues this, for instance. Religious believers or theists of all types are allowed to worship in the UK. Before World War II, there were not many non-Christians living in the country, but after 1945, groups of immigrants began to arrive and brought different religious ideas with them. For example, in the 1960s and 1970s, a large influx of people from India, Pakistan and Bangladesh brought Islam, Hinduism and Sikhism to the UK. Many old churches and other buildings were converted into places of worship for other religions, such as mosques. Different religious groups are protected from racism and religious intolerance by law. This means that where intolerance, prejudice or discrimination exists, people have a right to go to the police and prosecute people for their behaviour in court. However, this does not mean that religious intolerance is gone. While people might not be allowed to say it in public, you only have to look at newspapers like The Sun to see that some religions, such as Islam, have a bad reputation. This is becoming such a problem that a new word was invented to describe it, Islamophobia. Some of these issues derive from what is called religious exclusivism. This is the idea that only one religion can be right, and if only one religion is right, then the others must be wrong. Some Christians, for instance, cite parts of the Bible that say the only way to heaven is through Jesus. Many religious groups are trying to promote community cohesion rather than conversion, where they encourage people to change beliefs, but rather promote acceptance of different beliefs. For your exam, you need to explain what a multi-faith society is and in what way the UK meets the criteria for being a multi-faith country. You'll also need to describe what some of the benefits and challenges are of living in a multi-faith society. We've already talked about some of the problems, but for most people, living in a multi-faith society can be a wonderful thing. Hinduism and Buddhism have brought meditation to the UK and yoga, and immigration has led to a wide variety of food, music and diversity in terms of beliefs. You can see lots of festivals being practised of different religions in London, for instance. This can in turn lead to more tolerance. If people learn and grow up hearing about different beliefs, they're more likely to question things and understand other people. For many theists, there is no issue when it comes to people having different religious beliefs. This attitude, known as religious pluralism, is where believers argue that all religions lead to the same God, so there's no need for people to convert. Everyone should have religious freedom, that is, the right to follow any religion that they choose. However, this is not the only attitude, and some people may be less than happy about others holding different beliefs. Some parents may send their children to faith school, while other religious believers may try and convert people from different religions. Exclusivists may argue that they have a duty to convert, because only one religion can be right, and this means the rest are wrong. If they believe their religion is the only way to get to heaven, for instance, evangelical Christians who argue that only believing in Jesus will secure a place in heaven, then they feel it is their duty to try and save other people. The issue is that people from many different religions believe the same thing about their own ideas, so this can cause huge problems, and no one really knows who is right. Being part of a multi-faith society has led some people to take offence when they are told that their religion is incorrect or encouraged to convert. It's also caused particular problems for some couples who want to marry someone of a different faith. This may cause conflict between families and further issues when raising children. As many parents choose to bring their children up with religion, they may worry about which festivals to celebrate, which holy book to follow, especially if parts seem to contradict between them, which rules to obey. Imagine a Muslim marries a Jew. Do they follow a halal or kosher diet? Should the children follow the Quran or the Torah? What about if a Christian and a Jew marry? If Jews are not supposed to follow Christmas, what will they decide to do when it comes to the 25th of December? Many people still argue that England should remain a Christian country, and David Cameron caused huge controversy recently by arguing that it still is a Christian country, despite how many atheists there are living here and people of different religions. Some people would argue that Christmas, for instance, should remain an important part of life here and be celebrated in schools, where others have tried to remove it from schools to make sure that no one gets offended. Other people have argued that religion-specific ideas in total should remain private rather than public. Recently, Islamophobia has become a problem in the UK, and people often do not understand their religion and listen to newspapers that portray Muslims in a stereotypical way. Such ideas frequently lead to conflict between groups. In France, one of the ways they've tried to combat this is through a process of secularisation, in a policy that's known as laïcité. You may have heard of it. This means that all religious symbols must be kept private. Anything that's political, public, but religion must be private. This has caused lots of offence amongst people who can't wear their hijab, for instance, in public. However, there's also recent reports that it's making people very prejudiced towards other religions. Luckily, we've got RE in this country, so people can learn even about different religions, even religions that they would never normally encounter. In order to prevent conflict and religious intolerance, people have argued that communities need to recognise all the things their faiths and cultures have in common, respect differences that arise between them and try to understand them, listen to other viewpoints and focus on common values between religions, such as respect and tolerance, non-violence and charity. Different religions are beginning to work with each other to find common features of their religions that they can promote together. As Jews, Christians and Muslims all believe in one God and share many of the same prophets, such as Abraham or Ibrahim, they often try and focus on this rather than point out differences. In 2006, the Pope said, "I would like today to stress my total and profound respect for all Muslims." Speeches like these are designed to promote community cohesion. For example, you may see lots of pictures trying to promote the relationship that Desmond Tutu and the Dalai Lama and other religious leaders have, to show that people can be friends despite their religious differences. Some religious groups are even finding ways of helping couples in interfaith marriages. For example, the Church of England has produced a set of guidelines for the celebration of interfaith marriages in church. Religious education in state schools has changed to a non-denominational subject, so that teachers are free to teach about all the religions in a non-biased way. This means that all religions are taught in an academic way to promote respect and tolerance. Teachers are not there to convert children or to teach them about becoming religious. All the more reason to study the subject. This represents a big change and suggests that the UK really is a multi-faith society and is really trying to make it a happy one.